We're going to answer some questions that come in from our webcast viewers, so that if this is a question that's been bothering you, I have an answer. Or if it's a question where you thought, I wonder if that's right or wrong, we have an answer for you. Are EIDL grants taxable? Are local government grants to private businesses for COVID relief taxable? That's an interesting question. First of all, EIDL grants are emergency disaster loans from the SBA. The grant portion is no more than $10,000 and it is forgiven money. Specifically, the EIDL grant is not taxable. However, local government grants to private businesses for COVID relief are taxable. What the law says, well, maybe I should direct you to the IRS website FAQ. CARES Act Coronavirus Relief Fund is the title, but particularly that FAQ from the IRS says that local government grants are taxable. You need a specific provision to make them non-taxable, and they are not. So the client the other day, he has a large apartment building with a partner in Las Vegas. And I said, how are your rents going? He said, well, we've had quite a decline in rents, but we received a Las Vegas, Nevada relief that reimbursed us, paid for 80% of the lost rent. And that 80% of lost rent goes directly into rent receipts and would be taxable for federal purposes. How to claim the ERTC, that's the Employee Retention Tax Credit, when wages are paid with PPP loans. The CARES Act gave taxpayers two provisions to help them with the economic disruption. I've been trying to think of sort of alliteration, our pressured, pandemic pressure of our economy. So Congress said you can have PPP loans and we'll forgive them if you use them for payroll and other covered expenses. You can have a PPP loan and we'll forgive the loan, and we will still allow you to deduct the expenses that came later. But the law in CARES also allowed an employee retention credit. That employee retention credit originally was not allowed to any borrower of PPP funds. So it was exclusive, and early in the year we tried to figure out what was better. Shall I take a PPP loan that is forgiven, or should I take an employee retention credit? However, we have a change that came about because of CAA 2021, our end of December law. That amended the CARES Act to allow employers that received a PPP loan to retroactively claim during the during 2020 to retroactively claim an employee retention credit for wages paid. Now, those wages have to be paid after March 20th, 2020. That's an effective date built into the CARES. And you can claim the employee retention credit, but not for wages that were used to obtain the PPP loan forgiveness. So the way that I'm working on it is that I look at the wages on my application, how much in wages I needed to get my forgiveness on the PPP loan, and then use the remaining wages to count toward my employee retention credit. There is a new FAQ posted at the IRS website. It was posted January 22nd, so it's pretty much hot off the press. I would recommend that you, you're going to just hate me for this. I recommend as tax season progresses that you do have a habit of taking a look at what's coming out on these FAQs. Mostly you can look at the bottom, and they add the new ones to the bottom of the list, but the eligible employer can claim the employee retention credit on any qualified wages that are not counted as payroll costs in obtaining loan forgiveness. Any wages that would count toward eligibility for the ERC or the PPP loan forgiveness can be applied to either of these two programs, but not both. So that's the IRS official answer, or as official as our FAQs are posted on the IRS website. Now, one more thing on PPP loans before we go on. There is a revision, I think it might be the 5th revision to the Form 3508 S, the simplified version, one that is dated, I think now January 19th. So if you are still helping clients or family members or yourself with loan forgiveness, you want to make sure you have the most recent version of the 3508S. It was modified after our last minute end of the year New Year's Eve present from Congress and the President.